Hola, and welcome to the Legal Drug Dealer podcast, where you would get medical health and prescription medications information that is very easy to understand. My goal with this podcast is to provide you with basic medical health information that you can use to guide your own research when you're looking to take control of your own health by making informed medical decisions. My name is Marilena Gritani. I am a clinical pharmacist with over 27 years of experience, and now I am dedicating my professional life to provide medical health information to people like you. Stay with us and learn from me and other experts that will help us understand a wide variety of medical health topics. In case that you were wondering, as a pharmacist, I deal drugs, and it is a legal job, so I think it is accurate and funny to call myself the legal drug dealer. Thank you for listening, and here you have today's episode. Hola, and welcome to the Legal Drug Dealer podcast. Marilena Gritani here. Today, we are bringing to you episode number 38, which is dedicated to those that need help with alopecia, that is also known as hair loss. Today, we're going to learn a lot about it, what to do, how to treat it, and most importantly, that we do have hope of treating it without medications. This is what Johanna Dalman is going to present to us today. And I promise you it's going to be a very, very in-depth episode. And you can hear how much passion and dedication she has for this topic. So without any further ado, here is Johanna. Well, thank you, Johanna, for being here with us. I love to have you. I found you in a very weird way. You have helped me tremendously on my business. So, girl, I'm very happy to have you here. And I'm very happy to highlight you in my podcast and also everything else that I do. So welcome, Johanna.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm very happy because the way that you look, nobody would think what you went through. So let's just talk about that. As everybody already know, we are talking about alopecia and how this horrible thing affects not only your mind in terms of, well, I need to look pretty, I need to be beautiful because we're girls and we are, like we call it in Spanish, coquetas, that we like to look pretty and all that. But it also takes a toll in your mind to the point that it could end up being a mental health problem if it's not addressed properly. So tell us a little bit, what is it that you do and how you become the expert that you are on this particular topic?
I help people reverse alopecia naturally and organically using no pharmaceuticals, no medicine, no drugs, all through diet and lifestyle. I have completed this with so many different types and various types of alopecia, including alopecia areata, totalis, universalis, androgenetic alopecia, which is female pattern baldness. And it's amazing what you can do with diet and lifestyle. No one is talking about it. And unfortunately, none of the 5, 6, 7 doctors that I've seen ever suggested it either. I went to endocrinologists, I went to dermatologists, I went to GPs in Europe, in the US, in Colorado, in California, and no one was helpful. Their only solution was cortisone shots and creams, which, as I told you earlier, have less than a 10% efficacy rate. And no one was there for me. So being the researcher that I am, being the strong-willed female that I am, I knew I was going to find a way. There's no way that at the age of 35, all of a sudden my hair was going to start coming out of nowhere, quote unquote, right? And so my degree, my higher level education, a degree in master's from Boston University, led me to research more, led me to look for the data, led me to look for solutions. And coming from corporate, coming from Apple, I'm all into creative solutions. I'm looking at loopholes. I'm looking at how to quickly and efficiently get to this. I spent the next 2.5 years trying to figure this out on my own and really dedicating 10 to 12, 14 hours a day just on alopecia. Research was beyond Google. I was in medical journals. I was looking into other languages. I was just researching nonstop. And of course, at the same time, using myself as a guinea pig. And because I was so protective of my health, of my fertility, and of potential risks and side effects, and I just wanted to go holistic and natural. I wanted this to be a long-term solution and not just a temporary Band-Aid. And so through this research, not only did I myself heal, but now I have my clients who heal all the time. And I actually just posted a picture today of a before and after of a current client who has AGA, which is androgenetic, alopecia, which is the female pattern baldness right here on the crown. And in 1 month, she's in my 2-month program, but in 1 month, she's already seen results. In less than 4 weeks, she's already seen hair growth. She's already seen changes in her body, because many people think that alopecia is just hair loss, when in reality, it's a whole host of other symptoms that tag along with it. It's the depression, it's the anxiety, it's digestive issues, it's brain fog, it's dry skin, dry hair. It's just so much more to it than just the hair loss. That's actually just one piece of it.
I totally agree with you, to the point that this past 3 months, I've been talking a lot with nutritionists, like people that are not only in the nutrition world, but also dedicated to what is called functional medicine nutrition, as well as being a certified nutrition specialist, which I understand now is a higher degree of nutrition, where people see how nutrients affect your whole body in aspects that people never thought. I've learned so much, and as well my listeners, because we've talked about this with people like Lars Zakaria and Kira with him, and people that, open windows for us. So we are not totally naive of what you're saying, because thanks to them, we have learned plenty to open the door for that. So it's not that people are going to be like, I don't know, you need to start from zero because I have no idea. That's wonderful. But also, I know that the type of medicine, between quotations, that nutrition and lifestyle practices in our body, or the way that they change our body, is way better than what is right now, because that's what it's been for centuries before we had stupid commercial medications. That is where I come from. And that's what I was learning about, and what I originally started talking about. And I found out that it's more complications, and there's not enough help, and there's not enough support for people that have issues that are not resolved by a medication. And because, unfortunately, this era in our lives is based on commercial, like money, doctors are trained to be commercial. So they use only medications. They're not trained to do, as you said, what needed to find the problem, which is normally what functional medicine is doing as well. So what you did is exactly what these people are talking about. Let's just focus on one person, see where it's coming from. Let's just not cover it up with a Band-Aid or something, a warm cloth that is not going to solve the problem, because we don't want to hide it. We want to fix it from its root, even if it's harder and it takes longer time, which people would think that 4 weeks or 2 months is too long. They'd rather take a pill and get it done. But tell us, why do you think that that's not the route? Why, again, we heard this a lot of times, why taking a pill is not the solution for something like alopecia, based on your experience or what you have been training people to learn?
Because it doesn't work for long-term success. The problem is that many times when you do the conventional medicine route and you get the creams, or you get the cortisone shots, or you get the JAK inhibitors, it might help in the beginning, but then you're going to lose the hair again. And then you have these vicious cycles. And so it's almost like having to add on more and more medications with diabetes, right? The worse it gets, the more medicine you need. And it's the same thing with alopecia. In order to see results, you're going to have to keep going back for more and more creams and cortisone shots. And long-term, that's not the successful route. That's insanity. That just doesn't make sense. Long-term is to understand, have the tools to unlearn what you've been taught or what you haven't been taught, because in reality, schools and government are not doing a good job of teaching us nutrition, diet, and lifestyle at all. Not in schools, not in our families. I was never taught nutrition at my house. I had to unlearn and relearn, or else I would be yo-yo dieting like my mom does. And so, you have to start a different shift of a foundation in order to build a strong settlement, in order to build a strong house. And this is what I tell my clients, is that you have to clean house, clean the slate, from there, rebuild. And once you rebuild, you see results. And it's not just results of 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, or 8 months, but it's long-term. It's been more than 4 or 5 years, and I have, full hair. There's no more alopecia.
Beautiful, by the way, for those that can't see it. Yeah.
There's no more alopecia, and I have no fear of it coming back. Because that's the other thing. Many people say, okay, I healed my alopecia, it came back naturally, but then I fear it's going to come back. And so why live with that fear if you can have and take control of your own health, understanding what the pillars of health really look like for someone with an autoimmune disease, apply it, stick to this route, and then never fear it again, never fear disease again, never fear having alopecia again, put it to sleep. We all have cancer cells in us. However, cancer comes about if our diet and lifestyle are not balanced, right? That's essentially why cancer comes about. It's not just overnight. It's because of a progression of many things. And so if we have everything is in order, everything is in balance, we have nothing to fear. And it starts with our food. And it also, continues on with lifestyle, because you have to marry those two, and they both need to be strong foundations. And so when I have parents who do my program, they're normally doing it for their children. And it's a whole family togetherness situation, because the parents are doing it, the siblings are involved, everyone is involved supporting the one child who has alopecia. And lo and behold, everyone gets healthy. Lo and behold, the parents tell me, oh, I had always this congestion. I've always had this psoriasis. I've always had this eczema, and now it's all gone. And it's because they followed the program just like their child, because everyone is eating the same thing. Everyone is supporting the one child. And lo and behold, everyone gets healthier. Everyone boosted immune system, maybe losing some extra weight that they had on, and looking great, feeling great. And this is what we want. We want the whole family to be healthy. And so it starts at the home. It really does. And unfortunately, again, as parents, you're not given a manual, not even from the hospital. You're not even, really shown, not even have how to breastfeed. I mean, you're just kind of like shooed away. Okay, thanks for coming.
Bye.
Exactly. And so no one's giving parents a manual. No one's giving society or children the real learning lessons that they need to avoid this, because my alopecia, like many others, could have been really avoided, but we just don't understand many times how things are, how polluted our environment truly is, how polluted our food is, and how to really decipher what truly is healthy and what truly is not healthy. And so everyone thinks, this label dictates healthy, this label dictates heart healthy, this label dictates this. And really, it's all a scam. You have to be a research rat. And I wear the badge of honor saying that I've researched everything to the nth degree. And this is why I have results, and this is why my clients see results, because I make them see everything and read everything that I've gone through. So they know that it's not just me, that there's science and there's research behind everything I do. My program is all research based.
Before we talk about your program that I think is very important and everybody's waiting for, I just wanted to touch back on what you mentioned about the family, the support, having everybody working together for the one person that has the issue. That is, I believe, the key. My husband decided about a year ago to become vegetarian. And because I'm the one that cooks, I had to do it as well, because I wasn't going to cook a steak for me. And then he would smell it and it would be harder for him, because he just wanted to work on his cholesterol. And also because of my daughter's suggestion of helping with, the environment and all that we're very responsible about. So I supported him with that. And that's why it was easier for him to get through the year, because even though he's a Texan and he used to eat meat 4 times a day, he could do it because of that support. So that's one thing that is very important. You work together as one. All of you do it for that person that you love in order for them to succeed. But at the same time, doing so, you get the benefit for the other people that were not supposed to need it, or they didn't have the imperative desire to get that change, but it also helped them. And the last thing that I want to say, and it's so important for us as Latino driven, is the image that we portrayed in our lives for our kids to learn from. And I've learned in the past, 10, 15 years with my kids, that they learn by observation. They don't learn because I told them what to do. You do this, you do that. They will probably not do it just because they're rebellious. But if they see me doing it continuously, they learn that that's the norm. And I also learned that in psychology, when you have a problem or you have a situation in your life and you need to know how to solve it or to confront it, your brain goes to the last time that you went through that. And that's what you do. So in my kids' case, is being what did they learn at home? What did my parents do when they had this situation that I'm living through now? Let me just go there. Oh, I remember what they did. That's what I'm going to do. It's not that they think that consciously. It's just that their unconscious give them those ideas to do. To the point that my son, I'm very happy to say this, I'm very proud. My son is now in college and he never cooked. Even though I tried to make him cook, he never did it. He preferred that I cook for him. But now he sent me pictures from his apartment in college when he made arepas, where he made, some things that are very Venezuelans that only he has blue eyes and he's very white. So he had no way to know this if it wasn't because of me. And he cooks stuff and he has people over the same way that we had it at home. So he learned that in order to show people love, you do it through food. So, and everything handmade and everything made from scratch. That is one example that my son learned from us. And I'm very, very happy that he got that. I never told him, you need to cook or whatever. He saw me doing it and that he learned. So when you talk about the whole family being a nucleus and the heads of the family, the parents in this case, making changes for themselves or the kids is the perfect way for them to go through that. Sometimes we don't think that the kids are listening. Sometimes we don't think that the kids are learning from what we're doing, whether it's good or bad, but we need to remind ourselves that is what happened. And the more we do it, the better the future of those kids are going to be. Not that they meant to do something wrong for them. Like you said that your mom didn't have the nutrition that you needed. She didn't do it because she was being mean to you, simply that she did what she knew, that at the same time she learned from her parents. So we need to break that chain of let's just do what my parents did. Let's keep tradition, right? Let's keep a culture. That is important. But at the same time, try to show them what difference they could do. So,
or, make the same recipes with healthier ingredients.
Thank you. Exactly. Use organic products or have a garden that you can have your herbs or some veggies that you can go get. Like my daughter, she knows every single herb because I had a little garden and I would tell her, I need basil, I need oregano and a little bit of thyme. And she would go with her scissors. She would be 10, 11. She would be like, here you have to cook. And now she knows how to go to the grocery store and what to pick because she lives in a dorm. So she doesn't have that access yet, but she learned that from us. So that's something that we need to, teach them about. So why don't you tell us about, you said that you had clients. So how do you help them? What is it that you have for them? How do you work a program with them for them to battle and win against alopecia?
So I've written books. I've written a blueprint guide. It's called The Secrets to Health and Hair Growth. And I've also written a cookbook. And I have a starter kit on my website, which includes both books. It includes another course, and it also includes a weekly planner. So to help you get through it. So depending if you're the type of person who likes to do it yourself and grab the information and go, the starter kit would be the best option for you. It has everything you need to get going today and to start reversing alopecia to stop the hair loss.
That's easy.
I know, right? If you want more hand-holding, I have a 2-month program. This way you can ask questions. You get a coaching call. It's personalized and it's tailored to you. And then we're in a group with other people. And in this Facebook group, we have weekly videos. There's challenges, there's homework. And I go week by week. This is why it's 2 months, week by week over everything, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. The problem is that going through alopecia yourself as the adult is very different than being the parent who is not sick, but yet has the child who is, correct? And so I know how it feels like being the adult with alopecia because I've been through it. I've done it myself. And I got to tell you that the amount of fatigue and brain fog I had during alopecia, the amount of digestive issues that I've never really encountered ever in my life and that I had during this time was the worst ever. I'm extremely active. I'm extremely just like energetic in general. And during this time, I was fatigued. Making lunch was a big task. Getting out of bed was hard for me to do. Going to the gym and like forcing myself to actually do something was beyond reach. I remember so many days in a row, I would go to the gym, just like start walking on the treadmill, where normally I'm sprinting on the treadmill and I couldn't do it. I couldn't even walk for 15 minutes on the treadmill. I was just so mentally and emotionally and just physically exhausted. And so my heart goes out for people who are actually going through alopecia because they're experiencing a bunch of other symptoms that tag along with it, like I mentioned before. And so because of that, I don't want to overwhelm them because it's really hard to pick up a book, have all this information thrown at you, all these things that you have to do. And then you're like, oh, where do I start? Where do I begin? And so instead of doing that, I created the 2-month program. And this is where I see 90% of success rate. In 90% of my clients, I see hair growth in less than 8 weeks. More on average is around week 4, week 5. That's normal. And that's for everybody with androgenetic, with alopecia universalis, totalis, areata. It's usually around week 4, week 5, week 6 that I see hair growth. And then from there, it just keeps going. Very rarely, at the end of the 2-month program, do people not see or start to see barely. So it just depends how strict you were, because, you have to be a little diligent with my protocol. You can't cheat, because if you cheat, that sets you back. But at the same time, it works. It really works. So if you put into place everything I tell you to do, and I tweak your blind spots, because that's another thing. I've had people who are nutritionists, who are personal trainers, who are extremely fit, come and do my program, and they have hair loss already. They have alopecia for one reason or another. So when I tell them, oh, this is your blind spot, this is your Achilles heel, you have to look at this because this is for you. And they come back to me, they see success, and they're like, you're right, this was my Achilles heel. I started to see a little more hair loss, but now I fixed it and I'm starting to see more hair growth. It's also understanding where your weaknesses, where your weak spots are as a person, right? And only I can see that because I'm your coach. Only I can see that because I've had these personal discussions with you. I've had the coaching session. I've gone through your medical history with you, and I can see exactly where your weak spots are and where potentially you can slip. And so this is something that we go over because it's super important. Someone who's has a degree in nutrition, it's not the same for someone with an autoimmune disease. It's completely different. Nutrition for the regular person is so different than for someone with an autoimmune disease. And so some of my adult clients who are in their 20s or 30s are like, well, my mom and my dad can eat this, and how come I can't? I was like, well, because you're special. You're so special that your body doesn't like it. You're so special that sometimes certain foods you're just going to have to work around. Like I said, create healthier ingredients to make the things that you want to make. So you can still have your cake and eat it too. It's just going to be healthier. Everything's going to be different. And it's a journey because those 2 months are needed to really clean house, build the foundation, and then, give you the support to keep going, because it's not that after the 2 months, your journey's gone and that's it, and that's all you need to do. No, you have to keep going. And this is lifelong. It's like investing in your retirement. You need to keep investing in your health for this to keep going, for you to get the full results as you see on me, and to be able to live healthy without the fear of alopecia ever coming back, and understanding how you control your health, how you have more control in what your life looks like just by the choices you make every day.
Yeah. And actually, most of the time it's what you put in your mouth, and you do it with your own hand, right? Yeah. So you're doing it to yourself. When you say taking control of your own health, which most people that listen to my podcast understand that that's what my mission is. That's where I'm going with my summit and other stuff that are coming next year. We need to be the ones that are the warriors and the protectors of our own health, because nobody cares about it more than us. Of course, if you are in charge of the health of your parents or grandparents that are, older and they don't have that mental strength to do it, that's different. But you need to do it for yourself. You need to support them. You need to do it for you too, because it's not that, it's like my mother used to say, don't smoke with a cigarette in her mouth. I'm like, really? How would I remember, right? That's not the way. You need to be an example. Plus you do it for your own health. I do believe that the changes are in you. And I remember one of the speakers on my summit, they said, nobody has more experience on your body than you, because you've been living with it for 20, 30, 50 years, whatever age you are. And a doctor that is being in a conversation with you for 15, 30 minutes cannot have as much experience as you do with your own body. So nobody knows better what's happening to you that is not normal. As you said, the symptoms that you were getting, the GI, the stomach or digestive symptoms that you had, of course, the visual ones that you got in your hair, loosen it. But also there's signs, there's stuff that happened that is your body telling you, hey, something is wrong. Change, do something, because something is wrong. And it does not happen from yesterday to today. It's not that you start eating something weird yesterday and then in 3 weeks you're going to be bald or you're going to have cancer or what have you. It needs years progressively. So it's not that at the beginning you say, but I did it for so long and never happened. And then your body's telling you, yeah, it did, but I was fighting it until I got to a point that I couldn't fight it anymore. And this is the consequences. So yes, it's a process, it's slow. Everybody needs to work hard on it. And it's not that you get it better and then you stop unless you want it to go back, which I don't think anybody does because you just want a solution. Because again, the mental health part, why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that people are confused between having mental health problems, consequence of a health situation, different than being born with a mental health problem that is never going to go away. If you resolve the health problem that you have, those will go away. But if you don't, well, they will stay. Or if you start treating them like it's the ones that you were born with, it's going to be a big mess. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because I want people to understand the difference.
Well, I would say that for me personally, I've always been optimistic. I've always been extremely positive and always looking at the bright side. You know, my grandma would always say that if you're not dead, there's a solution. So there's a solution to every problem, just as long as you're not dead. And I said, okay, I'm going to grab the bull by the horns and I'm going to figure out how to get my hair back. Because like I said, there's no way that just out of quote unquote nowhere, my hair started falling out. And so in terms of mental health, I broke down a lot. I was in tears. I was filled with anxiety. I was filled with depression. I saw a change in me. And even though I tried to push myself through that, doing exercise or doing this or doing that, it was still kind of like this cloud that was over my head. It was like this darkness. And I never, quote unquote, thought the worst. I knew deep down, like my gut knew that I was not going to be bald. Like I knew I was going to get my hair back. How, when, how long it would take, I didn't know, but I knew I would. And I was so determined that even halfway through my progress, once I started seeing like big progress and big hair growth, I was like, bam, I'm onto something. And even though I was still missing a lot of my hair and my hair was acting up, it wasn't as soft and normal as it was hard and dry, and it felt like a broom. It was just unmanageable whatsoever. My curls started to not curl and like just be straight. It was awful. And so even during that time, I was still happy and I was still positive because I saw the hair growth. And once I saw like a 6-month period of hair growth, continuous hair growth, I was like, okay, I don't care how I look right now. It'll get better. It's good. Like I'm onto something. Yeah. And so then once I was essentially at the 95% rate of success of like total healing, you know, because hair takes time. It's not overnight. It takes time. I said to myself, people need to find out. People need to know that they can do this on their own, that they don't need to spend so much money seeing doctors in different countries, in different cities, in different states like I did. I paid everything out of pocket. I had no insurance at the time because I was in between one country and the other. I moved to Europe. And so because of this, everything was out of pocket. Everything was more expensive. You know, the flights, the hotels, the rental cars, whatever it was, just to see doctors who I felt more comfortable with, of course, back in the States, because that's where I'm from. And then to seeing doctors in Europe, which were no help whatsoever. I started dabbling into traditional Chinese medicine, into Ayurveda, feng shui. I mean, you name it. If I found somebody to say to me, hey, you need to eat frog legs and a snake, I would have done it. I mean, whatever it took, I was about to do it, just as long as it was organic and natural. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't organic and natural, I wasn't going to play with that. And I did. And so this was so easily done for me, easily. It took me 2.5 years. But I got through it. But then now to have clients see results in less than 2 months, that's huge. I've just saved so much time and money for people. It's ridiculous. They don't have to deal with this anymore. They don't have to go through the cycles of depression and anxiety every time that they think that alopecia is about to come around the corner again. They can live in faith and trust and believe that their body is going to be healthy and stand up to the test of time as long as they treat it right. It's like treating a car right. You can't run your car on an empty tank. You need to fill it up with gas. You need to change the oil. You need to take care of it for it to last long. And so the same thing we need to do with our bodies. And a lot of times we abuse our bodies. We're drinking too much. We're, not sleeping enough. We're doing a lot of things that our modern society is dictating, and yet our bodies are not accustomed to and are not adapting well to, right? This is why we see so much burnout. This is why we see so much issues with autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are new. They're 15, 20 years old. This is not something that our grandparents were dealing with. Autism is somewhat new as well, 15, 20 years as well. And so many things are new. And the fact that children are getting autoimmune diseases as well is something very new. And so I also have a program that looks at pregnancy. So it's alopecia and a pre-pregnancy program, because the pregnancy part is very crucial, especially if you have an autoimmune disease. And so ensuring that not only you, but also your baby is healthy, right? This way you can avoid a miscarriage. You can create a healthier uterus, a healthier environment for your baby, and then also create better outcomes for your baby, because what happens in the uterus dictates a lot of what's going to happen for the rest of that child's life, whether it comes out through the vaginal canal or through C-section, whether you breastfeed or not, whether you give it certain foods or not, whether you're taking certain supplements during pregnancy or not. And all these things affect it. And as I said in the beginning, I wanted to protect my fertility because I was in the age group of having kids. I started doing more research about having a good, wholesome, fertile pregnancy. And lo and behold, I believe that because of my alopecia, because of how I really cleaned house, at 39, I was able to get pregnant on the first try. These are things that a lot of times people take for granted and people don't think about, but fertility is something we also don't talk about. And it's always been in the back of my mind. And there's a correlation of it. There's a strong correlation. So I think whatever happens during pregnancy needs to be adequate enough to be a healthy environment for that baby.
And for the future of the baby. And again, you do examples, you live your life in a good way to teach the baby. But while the baby is inside of you, whatever you do, you're doing for the two of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can't be taking medicines and you can't be doing cortisone shots while you're pregnant. And there's a lot of women that in their 20s and 30s, they are getting alopecia. Alopecia actually affects 80% of women. And so because of this, you want to give them options that will also give them options for their fertility, that will also give them options for the future.
For the healthy future.
Right, exactly. Because we don't know what these medicines are, what the side effects are in 20 years.
I do. And that's why I don't support. I'm the first one that is telling you, I am a pharmacist, 26 plus years. And I'm telling you, the least medications you take, the better. And those that don't believe what I'm saying, watch a TV commercial and understand that a third of that commercial is somebody talking really fast, telling you, you can get a heart attack, you can get cancer, you can get and that's the law. That's why they say it, not because they want to protect you, it's because it's the law, because that's how bad they are. So yes, I do believe that medications have their places and they're important for a lot of reasons, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is fixed by a pill. And that's why I like people that do what you do, that are focusing on the person, on the everything, not just one thing. Because if you take a pill and then you continue living your life with the lifestyle and the nutrition that you had before that caused the problem, where do you think they're going to meet? It's not going to happen. They're going to go parallel. And most likely you're going to be needing, as you said at the beginning, more and more medications to cope not only with evolution of the disease that is going to get worse, but also with the side effects and consequences of those medications that you also need to treat because they're very uncomfortable for the patient. So no, I do know what it is. I do know what it costs. And yeah, the least medications you can take, the better. Get us out of work, as my friend Veronica Riera says. I would be happy not to have a job as a pharmacist dispensing medications because nobody's taking them. That would be ideal. That would be a healthy world. And that's what the future should be, as it was 100, 150, 200 years ago, where there were no drugs and people were just taking care of themselves with roots and herbs and eating healthy and exercising and doing everything that they need to do. So no, we're in the same page. We're in different pages in terms of profession, but we're in the same page looking up for the future of humanity and everybody that is listening to this. So spread the voice, people. We need to be healthy. We have a lot to do still, right? So let's be healthy. So tell us about what is the way that people can get in touch with you. Let's say that they want to learn a little bit more about what you do. They want to learn about your starter kit. Where do they go? What do they do?
They can go to alopeciaangel.com. And from there, you have my blog, you have free downloads, you have so much information, you have my story. You have success stories from other clients with pictures. You have lots of information on my programs, on my books. I even have books in Spanish. I have books in Portuguese. I have books even in Dutch. I've translated them. And so my heart really goes out to people who speak other languages, because it was so hard for me to find information in English. And thankfully, I speak Spanish and Portuguese fluently myself, naturally. And my heart goes out to people who don't have the same option to get that information in their own language. And so this is why I created programs and I created my books in Spanish and in Portuguese too, because my heart is Latin. I am Latin. And my heart goes out to people who live in Brazil, who live in Venezuela, who live in Peru, Argentina, and Colombia and Mexico, and so many other places where they live and speak Spanish, because everyone deserves a chance to get the rules, to get the guidelines, the true guidelines of what health looks like. And our governments worldwide are doing a poor effort in this area. And unfortunately, agriculture has changed. The way we produce food has changed. We have GMOs. We have all these other things on top of all the toxins and pollutants and whatnot in the environment. But beyond those issues, it all affects our health. And no one is really making this truly aware to the average person. And even though at the time that I got alopecia, I was living in Miami. I had a personal trainer. I was extremely fit. I was very lean. I had a healthy, clean diet, because in order to have abs, you have to have a clean diet. Mm-hmm. And even with all this, I still got alopecia. And so no one is immune to this. Like I said, I have a personal training, two of them actually, two trainers that are my clients right now. One is a male, one is a female. And the female has an amazing physique. She's 46, a mother of two, amazing physique, and she still is dealing with hair loss. Personal trainer, she understands diet and nutrition. But then after going through her situation, I started seeing some blind spots. We tweaked those, and in less than 5 days, she started seeing results. By day 20, she started seeing hair growth. So once you make those changes, you can see your body say, okay, hallelujah. Hair growth is going to come out. I'm feeling supported, because that's the problem. Our bodies are not supported. And once the body feels safe and supported, then it starts functioning normally. Then it starts running like a good car should run, right? Without the weird noises out of the engine.
Even better, because the human body is so smart and we regenerate without even thinking about it. One point that I wanted to make here, as what you said, is we don't do this to ourselves because we want to. Because if we knew, we wouldn't. That's why you talk about the blind spot. That happened to me. As you know, I'm a pharmacist, and I was taking a drug for so long, and I never thought that drug was affecting something else until a nutritionist. I had an appointment with a nutritionist, and she said, do you remember that this product is causing this, and that's why you're having these consequences? And I was like, oh my God, I'm the worst pharmacist ever. I am the worst pharmacist ever. And that is not what it was. It's simply that I was not taking that in consideration, because my forte is not towards nutrition, even though I have some information about it. That's not my area of expertise. And she was a digestive expert, nutritionist. So that's why she was more into that, same way that you know more about what could be potentially causing alopecia issues, because that's what your area of expertise is. That's what you have to go to experts. And that's why I constantly tell my listeners, look for the expert that already knows about it. And if this person went through it, even better, because they feel, they understand, and they know what you're going through. It's better and easier to get help from people like that. So thank you for pointing out that we have blind spots, but at the same time, you listener, don't think that you're doing that on purpose, or you're dumb like I thought I was, or you're not the best at what you do simply because you didn't see it, because that's why it's called a blind spot. You didn't see it. You just didn't. And you need people, expert like Johanna, to let you know, hey, look at this. Remember that? And you're like, damn, that's what it was. Thank you. And that's why the one-on-one, I believe, is the best way to go, because you are able to talk more in details, and you're able to share information that otherwise you have no idea what is going on in that person's life, and you cannot help or point it out or simply fix it by a twist or a tweak here and there. So thank you for doing all that. And thank you for the different languages. Oh my gosh, talking about that really quick. when the coronavirus thing started, I kept going to the WHO or the World Health Organization. They had nothing in Spanish, nothing. I was so frustrated to the point that I created, I think, 4 different bonus episodes on my podcast in Spanish about coronavirus because people didn't know. And I was trying to answer questions of people that were asking me because nobody was doing it. Thankfully, after the 2nd or 3rd month, the WHO or the Health World Organization started doing it. And I'm happy they did, but it took them way longer than they should to get to that point. It's just awful. It's not fair that because you don't speak English, you don't get the best information. It's not fair. There's nothing wrong with your language or your culture. We should have everything evenly in every single language. But thank you for helping with that. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, yeah, it's in Portuguese. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to recommend it to my parent or to my friend that they don't speak English. So remember that, people. So I know you're going to have a little gift for people that people can go get for you. What is it called and what would that freebie or little guide would do for them?
I have a free download on my website, and it's the top allergens that might be triggering your alopecia. And so food is a big part of this. Lifestyle is also a big part, but food is something that we can start and, implement today. So if there's something that you're eating on a regular basis that's potentially triggering your alopecia or making it worse, you want to take it out as soon as possible so that the hair loss stops at least, and that, your body gets a break, because that's what's going on. There's a bunch of inflammation that's happening within your body, and which in turn is giving you this autoimmune reaction. And so once you decrease the inflammation, once we, turn off the fire, then we're able to reestablish and, rehab your body and rehab the possibilities of hair growth.
I think that would be the first step for people to start confronting their alopecia diagnosis and what to start doing towards fixing it, right? Diet.
Actually, I wrote a blog post today about the first step in healing alopecia. And in my point of view, I think the first step is believing that your body can heal and reverse it. A lot of times people have so much fear, so much doubt, or they've tried so many things, whether it's from a scam artist or whether it's from shampoo or a conditioner or a topical, thinking that the shampoo is going to be that one, miracle thing. Or they go to different people. And I've actually written another blog post about the top 5 questions to ask your alopecia specialist so that you really grill them. You really get down into what their experience is, but not just that. What do they have as results? I'm about data. I'm about showing results. I'm about showing proof of not just in me, but then also in my clients. And so I think it's important to highlight whether you're speaking to a dermatologist and a doctor, an endocrinologist, whatever, or, to me or someone like me, then you really need to ask them, okay, how many people have you been dealt with in terms of alopecia? Because you could be talking to a dermatologist and really they focus on acne, or they focus on, dandruff or something else. Yeah. Right. And so if you're talking to your GP might have an excerpt from his textbook about alopecia, but that's it. Has he really treated somebody with alopecia? Has he seen long-term results? Yes or no? Like, these are yes or no questions and answers. And so I actually have a blog post written on this because there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of BS out there too. And so you want to cut it and see, okay, who is the person who's really going to help me? Just like you said, you have to go to the expert. You have to go to the person who's lived it, who's lived and breathed it, who knows, understands, and could explain it better, because it's frustrating to see that there's people out there who's like, oh, I know alopecia because my sister went through it or because my daughter went through it. Okay, great. But that's not enough. Going through it yourself as an adult, having to go through that pain is so different than being the parent or being the sister or the sibling or the daughter of. Going through it yourself, actually fixing it with no one's help is totally different. No one helped me here. It was just me, myself, and I. My determination and my willingness, my own self-motivation, because I wanted my hair back. I wanted it for me. This was all selfish. I wanted my own hair back. And then
you did it.
I did do it, thank God. And from there, I was just like, okay, people need to know I can't keep this. This is not fair if I were to keep this to myself. This is an injustice if I were to keep this a secret. And really, it's not a secret. But our doctors are not trained in diet and nutrition or lifestyle. Our medical practitioners are not trained in this. And so they don't give that advice. And so the advice of diet and lifestyle are going to come from third parties. They're going to come from other people who've lived it and who have, raised their hands and said, guess what? Conventional medicine has failed me. But I found that through diet and lifestyle, I reversed my Hashimoto's, my MS, my lupus, my diabetes, my alopecia, because this is all what it is.
And I want to say something here. That is not traditional medicine. What you're talking about is not traditional medicine. What you do is traditional medicine. What we know for the past 50, 60 years is not traditional. It's the new ways to do it. It's like TV dinners. They were a solution. You just got it from the freezer and put it in the microwave and that's it. That is not traditional. Traditional is to cook from scratch. Traditional is treat the patient individually, which is what you're doing, and treat it with getting away from stuff that costs harm rather than putting something to fix what you harm already. That's not the way. So what the mentality needs to change globally, I think, is traditional medicine is what we used to do before commercial medication. That is what traditional medicine is. And that's where we're going back to, because that's what helps. That's what works. And diet and exercise, how many times have you heard those two words together? Since you were born, and then yet we still don't do it. So that's why I think the word traditional needs to shift, but I 100% support you. So I believe in what you do. I think it's beautiful. I think it's perfect. I think that if I had the problem, I would rather have you being there for me than start going on Google and going to 7 different physicians and then be frustrated and thinking that I am the problem because the doctor knows better than me and that my problem is not fixable and having to go through all the mental health issues that I can go through simply because I didn't think I had a way out of this. But talking to somebody that went through it, that did it, that understands exactly what I went through and could help to regrow my hair in 20, 60 days. Wow, that's wonderful. So people, if that's a problem, if you know somebody that had that problem, if you know somebody that might have been going through this and seem to find a solution, recommend what Johanna does. If it's not to do what she does as a client of hers, at least listen up what she has to offer, what she's talking about, and do your own research in that area rather than going to another dermatologist that is simply not trained on this. So thank you so much, Johanna, for being here, for opening our eyes, for being the voice of alopecia, which you are so eloquent and so passionate about. Anybody that hears this conversation can see it. And thank you for not being selfish, keeping that information to yourself, because you already solved the problem, which was the motivation for you to go through all this. You know how it feels, you know how frustrating it is, you know how complicated it could be and how long it could take. So thank you for being a good human being with a good heart, creating all these programs and books and trainings for people that need the same help. I want to invite all of you beautiful listeners out there around the world to know that we have a solution. We have somebody that have done it in 3 different languages, 4 actually, Dutch, Portuguese, English, and Spanish. 4. What else you want? And spread the voice and follow Johanna. All the links are going to be in the show notes. So make sure you go there and get all the information and get your guide, the top allergens that might be triggering your alopecia that Johanna have prepared for you. So thank you so much, Johanna, for your time. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
I would say believe that you can heal and believe that there's so many more options and take that control back because you're worth it, you deserve it, and there is a way.
Absolutely. 100% agreeing with that. Thank you so much, Johanna. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Wasn't that really informative, you guys? I think that it was awesome. I got so much information that I didn't know about alopecia in general, that treatment like this is what everybody wants because it's nothing but lifestyle changes and some nutritional changes. You don't need a bunch of medications or treatments or even surgeries or implants or stuff that are a little bit too drastic for anybody out there, which I respect people that do it, but it's not 100% necessary to improve this situation. So don't forget to go to thelegaldrugdealer.com for the information on this episode. There you will find Johanna's website with all the links that she has and the future programs that she's going to be offering, as well as a special tips that she prepared for you about those allergens that might be triggering your alopecia. She also gave us a bunch of information on her blog that you will find there as well. So please don't forget to go visit thelegaldrugdealer.com for all this information. So with that, I'm done for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done it yet. And if you have time, please write us a review. We want people to know what you think about our conversations, our chats, and maybe more people are going to start learning and getting their answers as you are with us. If you have any specific questions or suggestions for future topics, please email me to hello@thelegaldrugdealer.com and I will respond to you directly or even create a podcast episode for this. So with that, I'm done. But before I go, and just in case no one has told you today, I wanted to take a minute to remind you of how awesome you are. And how lucky are those that have you in their lives. Thank you for being the awesome you that you are. Have a wonderful rest of your day. This is Marilena Gritani, the Legal Drug Dealer. Bye for now.